Hello guys, so today let's talk about soft dramatic haircut and hair color. If you're new to my channel, I have a huge Kibbe body types playlist. I'm gonna leave the link down below. Before you watch this video, I also recommend you to watch this video, haircut plus hair color and how they interact with each other. Not any hair color would look good with any haircut. I'm just showing you basic rules there. And today we're gonna be more specific about your particular body type. David Kibbe is being very specific about colors. He uses this 12 season system. He mentions this in the book. So it would be better if you stay within your palette. So if you're muted, you go for more muted colors. If you are more clear, you go for clearer colors, and so on. But the recommendations are quite certain. So first let's see what haircut he recommends for soft dramatics. Hair should always be lavish and full looking. Elaborate coiffures and fantasy styles work well. The shape should be bold, either geometric or asymmetric, but softened with curls, wave, or partial layering. Hair must always look sophisticated and well cared for, but should also be soft and sensual, not stiff. Teasing, setting, waving, and perms are all possible choices for you. Now, of course, this book was written in the 80s, and 80s perm looked a little bit like that. So all those waves or curls normally had that thin effect and were a little bit fluffy or even wet effect. Nowadays, it doesn't look quite modern. It actually looks quite untidy. Today's wavy or curly hair is looking the best when the curl or wave is in chunks, like a big part of the hair is in one curl. You might not look as good in sharp geometric cuts, in symmetrical blunt edge styles, wash and wear styles that are unfinished looking, overly delicate or wispy styles. Now let's see what hair color he recommends for soft dramatics. Hair color should be rich, bold, and vivid. If you choose an artificial color, it should be strong and dramatic, blue, black, fiery red, platinum, or bright yellow blonde. Highlighting should be dramatically streaked. Of course, in my opinion, not like that streaked. That was 80s and 90s. Nowadays, I would say just choose brighter and more contrasted balayage rather than the very subtle lightening the ends or that very smooth gradient. If your hair grays in a theatrical fashion, you can emphasize it through directing the streaks in bold sweeps. The richer your hair color looks, the better. You might not look as good in subtle highlights or delicate lightening of the hair. Now let's see and analyze some celebrities' examples of soft dramatics and what kind of haircut and hair color they have. First, let's look at Christina Hendricks. And I've read somewhere that her natural hair color is actually dark blonde, and when she was 10, she became redhead. Now later, she was experimenting with these darker colors, which I think is not bad on her. It's just the makeup and the quality of the picture, and the haircut probably is not super soft dramatic here. Here too, very 90s kind of grungy era, black hair. Again, not bad, especially in this red dress. Still, we see that wet wispy bangs, 90s slightly untidy bob. She looks very pretty here too, and I think she looks good with a dark contrast. However, I think red hair looks better on her. That is another experiment. We don't see her full body, so this picture is very angled. So we can see that this short hair actually fits to her face shape, here at least. But if we saw her whole body, of course, we would notice that this hairstyle is a little bit too small for her and too boyish. She's much softer than this, so her softness would show off more. This is her in that Marilyn Monroe wig, and you know what? I think it's not bad. It's just shining so much so it looks like a doll, very, very synthetic wig. Our natural hair is just not as shiny, and I think if she had that more matte hair, it would look much more natural, but just in general, I don't think it's bad. She looks great in those bright colors. I think, though, that would be a little bit better with darker roots, but the hairstyle is good. Now we recognize this hair color on her. This time, this light red color, slightly strawberry blonde. I think she looks a little bit better with more intense color, but this color I think suits her very much. The only problem here is the hairstyle. Again, we don't see her overall body, and maybe it suits to her head and to her face, but if we saw her head to toe here, we probably would see how wispy and untidy this hairstyle looks for her sharp bones and voluptuous body. Now here we're getting much closer to her own natural lines. So her hair is repeating the curves of her body, which looks absolutely stunning. And you can see she doesn't have huge volume here. Her hair is actually quite flat here. It's for everyone who has thin hair, you can keep it in mind. The huge volume is not always the case. It's not always that you have to back comb your hair. Just slightly rounded side swept bangs by the face is giving that softness. Some curls from time to time, or instead of curls, you could have some layers, but not thin hair effect layers. layers, of course. Your ends should not be transparent for sure, but just slight layering just to soften the severity of the geometry, because soft dramatics have full and quite voluptuous bodies. Sometimes they have that curve, so it's better for them to have some softness in the hair too. So she was experimenting with different tones of red hair. Sometimes she would go darker, lighter, brighter, or more muted, and I love all of those colors on her. This photo is one of my favorites. I think it just looks stunning. I know it's for the photo, and I know she doesn't wear that hair in real life, but I just think it's so gorgeous and it looks so good on her. It has slightly medieval vibe. Now here, 50s curl by curl, very tidy, very glamorously styled, and amazing color. And of course clothes here fits. And this is her most often hair color, very bright orange, and I think again that looks great. Her skin is shining, it's porcelain, it's quite light, and the hairstyle here is absolutely stunning and it fits to soft dramatics very much. Now let's go to Adele. Adele used to be blonde from childhood. She also has light eyes. I think her eyes are green. I think she's quite warm in coloration and slightly muted. Not the most muted, but not very bright as well. I think she's somewhere in the middle. So we can see that she has naturally a very beautiful hair color. Even though it's not extremely bright, it's still quite intense. Now she was experimenting a lot as well. So here we can see that wig and that intense makeup. Maybe it's a Halloween costume or something, but I think it suits her very well because, you know, soft dramatics, they have dramatic bone structure with some soft flesh on top. So for them, normally that dramatic yet plump images, they just work for them. Now, when she was plumper in her figure, her stylists also were repeating that plumpness in the volume of her hair and volume of her lashes and nails. So from the stage, from the distance, there was a lot of harmony between the elements of her look. Everything was kind of large on the scale, but also slightly reflecting 60s. And she has a lot of the 60s in her music too. In terms of colors, she would often go from blonde to redhead. Sometimes they chose more muted colors for her, sometimes the colors were more bright. So here she has this very bright orange color, and again, like with Christina Hendricks, I love this very much and I think it's very intense. Her facial features are very prominent, slightly sharp, and she has some soft flesh on her face as well. So those curls plus that intense hair color looks amazing on her. When she lost her weight, she started having less volume on her hair. She didn't have to repeat extra curve anymore, so her hair became a bit more natural, but you can still see that it's very tidy looking. She looks good with tidy hair. It has some natural volume in it and the color is very beautiful. It's light and it's quite bright, and as far as she's tan here, it's not washing out her contrast. Her brows are great as well and it's very much supporting her bone structure. Same here, beautiful, very calm blonde color. As far as she is blonde naturally, that color looks amazing on her. It's still quite intense, especially in the ends, and those brows again are supporting that color. Now let's go to Sofia Vergara. Sofia has a bit darker coloration, a bit darker skin. She's much more tan. I think her eye color is amber or maybe hazel or brown, and her natural hair color, as she said, was dark blonde or something. I perceive her as more warm. However, I noticed that she can go to a cooler side as well, and she looks quite harmonious with that. It just depends on how far she goes from her nature. For example, here in her younger age, she was experimenting with some blonde, so probably it's even close to her natural hair color, this dark blonde by the roots and some money piece and that very calm balayage on her hair. Just overall effect, I think, is stunning, and I think she looks great with this money piece. It's quite bright actually. Here she's having that wig, I think, and it's also not bad for her. It's just I think she herself has a little bit more chiseled bone structure. She's a little bit sharper. So for her, it's not necessary to have such a volume. So for her, I would calm it down a little bit. The color is very interesting, but I would like to see her with the outfit and with natural makeup and see how that fits to her skin, because it's still a photo with automatic color correction. So I can't tell much about this one picture. Now here, it's not the best thing, I think, because her hair looks like overall lightening effect, very subtle highlights, too gentle. I would like a little bit darker roots and a bit darker brows. I think that was her 2000s era. Then she was going black, and I think this is when it's too harsh, but not because she's soft dramatic. Actually, it fits to her bone structure as to a soft dramatic. I think it's just she's too warm for that cool color. And I think she just looks yellow or orange and too caramel along with this black. I think if she had a little bit lighter, a little bit more to a brown side, a little bit warmer, then she would look great with that intensity actually. And here we have an amazing example. So you can see that as soon as she went a little bit more brown, that supports that caramel tones in her skin and in her eyes. Hairstyles are always amazing. I love her hairstyles all the time. She always has long hair. She almost never is doing huge volume. Her hair is kind of flat all the time, but it suits to her personally. On her, it doesn't look like she has very flat head. She has normal head. So on her, that looks great, and any type of a elongated bangs, whether it's curtain bangs or side swept bangs, long bangs, it all looks great on her. Here, amazing, quite intense caramel color that suits to her skin and her eyes, and still the contrast is not lacking here, so I love this very much. And again, the hairstyle is amazing. So here we can see two different kinds of balayages, and I think on the right is a little bit better because the darker roots support a little bit more, but the picture I like more on the left. On pictures, you can't tell much. Sometimes the picture is beautiful, but then when you see the person in real life, sometimes it's whether too much contrast or too little contrast or something is going on. Actually, on the left is not bad. I love the makeup, I love the hairstyle, hair color, everything is great. In real life, though, it probably would be a little bit too light for her. With bright makeup on a red carpet especially, that is a beautiful color that was absolutely beautifully done. Amazing technique and amazing colorist. But in real life, somebody who would be close to her coloration, I probably would not recommend that because they would always feel like they need more makeup and this color is just washing out their contrast. Here is one of my favorite looks of her. We can see that beautiful caramel balayage. Those dark roots are supporting her eyes, supporting her brows, doesn't let her be lost in that beige color that is her ends are. And this color is actually quite muted and a little bit on an ashy side. And this is a great example that we can see that for her particularly, slightly ashy color also works if the base of it is caramel. And now we can see quite similar balayage, but more warm color, not as ashy, and she just looks more warm in general. There are some people whose warmth and coolness are not very exaggerated, so a lot of things depend on their makeup, on the time of the year, because when they get tan, they get a little bit warmer. In winter, they get a bit cooler and things like that. So, but it's about coloration. We don't talk too much about coloration today. As I said, we're only talking about her being soft, dramatic, and being able to pull off these rules that David Kibbe described in his book. So I think the hairstyle is just stunning on her here, and the hair color as well. Now let's talk about Rachel Weisz, and her coloration is quite contrasted, but many people are arguing online if she's a spring. Some say she's winter, some say she's autumn, and some say she's summer. Definitely, she looks great in bright colors in my viewpoint. Her skin is quite light. Her natural hair color is dark brown, quite dark actually. It's hard to say if it's cool or warm. If this is her natural hair color, it's a little bit on a cooler side, but still, I think she looks amazing in warm colors too. Her eye color is hazel, I think. It's not as intense as her hair, which is interesting. Probably this is one of the reasons why so many colorists are confused about it. So this hair I adore on her, both hairstyle and hair color. I think if she just goes like that, it's perfect. Then she was experimenting with some blonde for one of the movies, I think. It could be a wig. I like it on her, but I don't think it suits her concept, to be honest. I think she's lacking that contrast, that natural contrast that nature gave her. So I think in terms of women with very dark hair color naturally, they should stay within their contrast and within their depth of color. Still go for intense hair colors though. Bob here is not bad. I like the volume and I like the hairstyle on her. I think that suits her. Here, I love this hair. It's a little bit too black for me. I think maybe she colored it here darker than her natural hair color. Quite dramatic, quite cool lipstick, a cool dress. It's a little bit winter coloration here, I would say. Beautiful hairstyle. I love it very much. I still prefer her with slightly lighter hair, like here. I think when she's wearing something dark brown chocolate color. She looks stunning. Very beautiful makeup and great hairstyle in my viewpoint. So again, one of those soft dramatics who doesn't need that much of a volume of her hair. If your hair is healthy, shiny, not thin in the ends, not untidy looking, you're good. Here, I don't like very much because it's wash and wear effect. And also the dress is slightly strange at the front. Normally soft dramatics just don't look as good with this kind of a strange geometric shape at the front. They need something curvy. They need something that would go down from their neck to their chest and going kind of around and accommodating their curves. We don't even see curves here anymore with that type of a dress. And also her makeup is so natural, like as if she doesn't have any makeup. So I think this look is strange for her and strange for soft dramatics, just in general. Here, I would say she looks amazing, and you can see that this color is actually spring color. It's very bright, very warm red, and I think she shines in this color, and her skin looks great. I think if she was winter, she would not look as good in this color, but as I said, again, so many people are arguing. Let me know, guys, what you think. What is her coloration in the comments? I would really love to hear your opinion. I love this hair. You can see that sleek hair sometimes looks great on soft dramatics. Again, it depends on the apex. Apex is how tall is your head. It's a top dot of your head. Somebody who has high apex, normally you perceive that they have a lot of hair, so that they don't need back comb it when they making it sleek. So their head looks normal. Some people have lower apex, so sometimes when they do that, they feel they're bold, so they feel like they need to back comb. So in her case, I think she doesn't need, so that looks great on her. Very glamorous and very tidy. Great makeup. Stunning brows. Again, they don't look quite good with that type of a neckline, but about the necklines, you can watch my summer style laws series for soft dramatics or autumn style laws. We talk a lot about this. Here, I love this too. And again, this is the case when I like this color on her, and this color is quite intense and warm and quite light, so it's a spring color. I love the hairstyle. I love the hair color. Even though the hair is slightly wash and go, her hair looks full, shiny, and not extremely wispy. That makeup also stunning. Here she has some highlights on her hair. It actually is speaking along with her eye color now. So she made her hair look exactly her eye color, which I think is an amazing thing for anyone who wants some change and who doesn't know which color would suit them. If your hair matches your eye color, of course, if your eye color is not blue or green, I mean more like brown or hazel, lighter brown or darker brown or black eyes, you can make your hair match your eyes and you will not make mistake about this. I love everything here. Beautiful hairstyle, healthy, slightly wavy hair, not much volume. She doesn't have any volume here at all actually. But as I said in the beginning of the video, long, flat and sleek hair in the 80s looked a little bit differently. Now we have a certain style of how we handle the curls and the curves in our hairstyles, so it looks different. Here again, she looks amazing. On the right though, the hair is slightly more untidy and I like it a little bit less than on the left. Still, nothing can beat that pure glamour for soft dramatics. They just look stunning with that. They never look stiff with that. They just look like mannequins sometimes, in the best sense of this word. And I love the hairstyle and I love the length of both of these hairs. And this is one of my favorites too. You can see here, even though she has a little bit of that balayage on the ends, her ends start speaking with her eye color. Her roots are darker, they speak with her brows, and the hairstyle is beautiful, absolutely stunning. Her hair is shiny. We call it low curl, so you can also do that sometimes. Make top of your head straight, and then from somewhere in the middle of your cheek, this is where the curl starts, or a wave starts. You can almost never go wrong with that, especially with this length of the hair. It normally looks full. It starts being slightly like a pyramid shape, which is great in this case because, as I said, she has a normal apex, so she doesn't need much of a back comb volume on top, and plus that makeup, very beautiful. And another two pictures, all the time she's pretty much in the same range of a hair color and hairstyle. Both of them I adore. Now, I know that Tara Banks is not an official David Kibbe celebrities list, as I just noticed recently, but there are so many people who agree in the internet that she is closer to soft dramatic rather than flamboyant natural, because she does have this curve and softness that flamboyant naturals normally don't have. Just look at her knees, look at her legs, look at her chest part. Looks like she does have this curve on top. And I noticed that soft dramatic rules actually work for her. It's just my personal opinion. Maybe David Kibbe one day will type her and we will see what type she actually is. But for now, let's look at her as soft dramatic. I think naturally she had dark brown hair, or maybe black, I don't know. Maybe here her hair is slightly lightened. It's straightened, it's long, it's not very wild, and I love it on her. She used to have loads of different wigs, so we can actually see many different examples of different kinds of hair. So here she has slightly untidy hair and very lightened. I like the color, but I think it's a little bit too blending for her. Also, the hair is a little bit too untidy, but I get it. It's editorial. It's wow. So she's experimenting a lot, and there are loads of experiments that actually look great on her particularly. She's doing it for the photo. She's in a great shape. She has amazing clothes, beautiful light, great makeup. So everything kind of works here. So I would never even think about that this hair doesn't suit her if I didn't do this specific video, because we still want you to look great and feel amazing every day of her life. When you wake up, you have no makeup on, you just like it. You know, sometimes there is some hair color and haircut that just suit you and you feel great. You don't want to put a lot of stuff on yourself to mask it or do something with it. So that is our goal. So if we look at this from that viewpoint, I would probably not recommend this hairstyle and hair color for her. Now here, I think it's great. Even though it's slightly geometric, this geometry is slightly softened by slight layering in the end of her hair. Her bangs is slightly rounded, that also creates some kind of a curve. The ends of her hair are slightly layered, that also softens the geometry of the haircut. It's slightly elongated. It looks very beautiful and feminine. I love it. And I also like those colors because I think she looks great in everything mushroomy, but yet still intense, not super blending and super light. Here, I love hair colors on all three of those pictures. Hairstyle, I think in the center, it looks interesting. It's not even curly pixie. These curls are interesting. It's like a fish skin. But you know what? I like it. I think it's very interesting, especially when you're styling it a certain way for the dress. I'm not sure that everybody would go like that every day, but still, you know, I like it. It's kind of pixie, but it's very soft looking just because of those curls. Now that pixie on the left, slightly boyish and quite untidy looking, and I think that looks great on her, particularly with her face and with her makeup. If we look at her head to toe, as a contrast, her body would be a little bit too soft and wide and big and elongated, comparing to this small detail as her hair. That's all this short hair does for soft dramatics. Again, she's a model, she's experimenting a lot, so we don't want to look at her as an example, but I'm just showing you what different things can do. Now on the right, it's actually called a bowl haircut, where you have this rich bangs. As far as it's slightly rounded, and I like the streaks of color that are shining and is making her skin shine, her eyes pop. Again, if I was a stylist for a person like that, I would actually check the size of their head, comparing to the size of their body. Some women, they really have their head just a little bit too small for that body to make this haircut, so the body just becomes bigger basically. So sometimes when we're dealing with such disproportion, some women just want to have a little bit more hair. But if you don't have this, I think why not? And I know some soft dramatics that are quite skinny. Even though they're curvy, they are skinny at the same time. So they can pull that type of a hair off sometimes. Here she has this dark hair. The makeup here is maybe not the best. It's a little bit too cold for her maybe. But at the same time, as far as the hair is shiny, solid looking, it's not wispy or anything, I think it's quite close. Here, I think the hair is too light for her. And I remember that hair color was very popular, I think in 2000s. We also had this tendency, remember, when the top of your hair is lighter than the ends. I talk a lot about it almost in each of my videos. We can find examples like this. It's not bad, but we can perceive that it is not very natural. So we want her roots to be darker and ends lighter. So I think in this case, that would support her eyes more. Her contrast, her brows would not blend her that much. I love the hairstyle though. Here, I love the hairstyle. And you know what? I even love this color. Again, it's, I think 2000s. Again, we can see this light top part, darker bottom part, but I like it here. I mean, the way she looks here with this makeup, with this dress, and with that hairstyle is just stunning. So that hair color is actually not spoiling it, but on contrary, it's giving that additional charm, that luminescent effect. This is a little bit old-fashioned, absolutely stunning. I'm a big fan of that hairstyle and hair color in her. I think it just looks amazing. Those big curls and curly bangs, that length, everything is very soft dramatic, and I think that looks great on her. Here she has this wig, beautiful, all these kind of caramel colors on her hair is suiting her very much when she has these slightly darker roots, because I think it speaks with her eye color. Her eye color is very interesting. It's quite light, actually. It's light brown hazel with some green in there. So all these caramel things just work on her. All right, that's it. I hope that was interesting. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.